So web developments and mobile developments are really popular nowadays. Everybody is either trying to be a web developer or they're trying to be a mobile developer. We are going to comparing these developers side by side within the spectrum of learning experiences, levels of difficulties, career opportunities, salary, and also future trends in this video. Hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Vicky May and I am a full-time software engineer living in New York City. And recently I've posted a lot of videos about how you can start learning on your own and becoming a web developer, as well as how can you start on learning mobile development. If you are currently learning to become either a web developer or a app developer, mobile app developer, this video might actually going to help you. Well, hang on. So before we start jumping into a comparison, there are two things that I wanted to be clear on. For web development, we're not talking about just a website that you can create on Squarespace or Shopify. We're talking about a web application. So thinking about developers who are developing large scales of web applications such as Netflix or Instagram that runs on the browser that serves a lot more users. For mobile developers, we are actually talking about the native platform for mobile apps like the Android or iOS mobile app developers. So the first thing that we are going to compare is the learning experience. Now, both of these developers will require to learn a ton of knowledge, but specifically for web developers, they are focusing on learning HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and they would need to require to at least know one type of JavaScript frameworks. So for instance, like Angular or React or even Vue. They would also require or at least understand how backend works as a full stack developer. For mobile developers, especially the native platforms, it's either iOS or Android, right? So for iOS, you would need to at least learn the programming language to be able to develop iOS, which is Swift. So for Android, you will need to either learn how to code in Java or you will need to learn Kotlin. Besides all of those programming languages and stacks and frameworks that you have to understand either as a web developer or a mobile developer, you would also need to understand the basic developer concepts such as gig version control and also how do you use your terminal. The next thing that we're going to compare is the level of difficulties. So this is something that I kind of wanted to highlight because to me, I don't think we can really necessarily meaningfully comparing web development along with mobile development like that. Just like in Olympic Games, right? When you're comparing one type of sports to another type of sports, you can necessarily say that one type of sports is better or harder than the other type of sports. They are both a different kinds of challenge and they both require years of practice and years of experience. So that is the same when we're talking about web development in comparison to mobile development. You can necessarily meaningfully say that these two are either one harder than the other. I would say that they're equally challenging. It's more of what makes you feel more challenging and what makes you feel more excited to build when it comes to choosing one over the other. So the next thing that we wanted to look into is career opportunities, and obviously this is something that everybody is paying a close attention to, right? Like, will you be able to find a job easily on this market? Is it demanding? The knowledge that you learn, will you able to apply to an actual job? It's very likely the demand of mobile developer to expand 14% during the forecast period in 2020. 2022. Similarly, the job opportunities for web developers are also expected to increase and even more. A lot of you guys might wonder because there's already a lot of frameworks out there that allows people who doesn't know how to code to build up a website, or even like creating, e-commerce websites such as using Shopify or Wix.com and all those third-party applications or software. Does that mean that web development is dead? And I can easily answer to you that's not the case. So the fact is, when you are creating a simple website for freelancing purposes or for event scheduling or even for e-commerce, it seems to be a very repetitive of development process. For those process, it makes sense to create a third-party software or company that actually handle those redundant and repetitive process. And it's more fun for web developers to build something that's more customized and more challenging. If someone has already built out a framework or a library or something out there for you to use, and they've done so much research years after years to make this product good, it doesn't make sense to me to build the same exact thing from scratch. You're really allowing yourself to have innovations and new ideas and solving more complex problems. So in my opinions, I think that for mobile development, it's slightly more niche down, meaning that it's very platform specific because you have the Android mobile development and also iOS mobile development. So it might be a higher demand over supply. It might be harder for recruiters to look for mobile developers, hence they might tend to pay you more. But you don't have that many jobs out there in comparison to web development. Even though that is the case, I also think that there are a lot of freelancing opportunities for mobile developers. How many of you have heard a friend saying that I have an app idea, I just need someone who build the app, right? There's a lot of startups or even a lot of people who has a app idea and they're just willing to pay mobile developer to actually create an app for them. There is a lot of freelancing opportunities for mobile developers, for web developers, because we already have all these Shopify's and Wix.com third-party integrations. It's harder for web developers to just go off freelance unless if you have a full team to support you and you're working a lot with bigger companies or even just a startup companies that needed some customized web applications. So let's talk about salaries. Even though it's not the main reason people picking jobs one over the other, but it's a pretty crucial factor. Money is money. I would say that because mobile app development is so niche down, as I mentioned previously, and there's less mobile developers out there in the market. There just seems to be more higher compensated mobile developers than web developers in general. And if we look closely with iOS developers versus, Android developers, it seems like iOS developers tend to make a little bit more than Android developers. So what about the future trends? I would say that both web developers and mobile developers are very high in demand since there are some of the hybrid mobile app developments out there. There's a trend of web developers switching to mobile development, especially by using hybrid mobile development platforms like React Native or Flutter. The truth is that there's a huge high demand on user experience on the mobile devices, and that drives a really high demand not only on web development but as well as mobile development. Especially for web developers, over the past decades we've talked so much about responsive design, meaning that you should always consider mobile first in development, thinking that users are always going to consume your web applications on mobile before they even opening up their laptop or even your desktop or even your TV. And that is probably one of the main reasons why web developers and mobile developers are very desirable and they are a very popular career path. After this video, I really hope that I get to help you to make a decision. Also, I would love to know what career path are you pursuing right now? If you're watching this video, please comment down below and let me know that what you end up pursuing. If you are currently learning either web development or mobile development, make sure to check out these two videos about the career path, about the roadmaps, and where you can get started. Stay safe. Until next time, I'll talk to you soon. Bye!